Okay, ready to rock and roll? All right, we'll go ahead and get started with wide receivers, Coach Josh Crawford. We'll open right up for questions for Coach Crawford. Kelly, you want to get started?
Coach, I was just kind of curious how a few guys are looking. James Blackstrain, Dominic Blaylock, some guys that you didn't get a chance to see a lot of in the spring or weren't here.
Right.
Just kind of what are you seeing from them so far?
Right. Well, James is he hasn't been totally fully clear, but he's slowly working his way back. But yesterday he made an outstanding one-handed catch, so we've been working him back in. But not only just him, I mean the entire room. I'm really excited about. If there's a theme in my room, it's strength in numbers. A lot of these guys at different times have continued to make plays on a daily basis. We've got a lot of guys that can run, that can make plays on the ball. So the overall depth of this room is pretty good right now, and I feel good about it.
Rod?
With the depth you have and all the talent you have, I guess whoever gets out there on the field, is going to depend on a day-to-day type, the way they play that particular day. And
absolutely. So in the receiver room, we talk about all the time about having the cheetah and the gazelle mentality, right? So I never want them to be comfortable or have the mindset that, hey, if I had a good day or even if I'm named the starter, I never want those guys to be in a position where they're comfortable and they think, hey, I've won the starting job, or maybe I'm going out with the first group. So now, hey, I can rest on my laurels. And so the good thing, and any coach will tell you this, when you've got good depth and you've got a lot of talent in your room, it's a good pressure that you're able to create. And I'm very fortunate to have a lot of guys that I feel like we can roll in, and they know that when they come to practice every day, they have to be on their A game. And it's a great group. It's a tight brotherhood. But they also know that they're competing, and that's something that we make very clear, in the meetings, that it matters that you go out and that you execute, and you know your assignment, and you're where you're supposed to be. And even beyond pushing each other, there's an accountability within the group that helps them, be consistent overall. So, but yeah, to answer your question, a lot of talent in the room. They're pushing each other, a lot of good pressure, excited, about where they can go as a group.
Chad?
A couple of your freshmen, Zion and Eric, how have they acclimated to college football?
Well, that could be another thing. Beyond strength in numbers, the youth movement. I'm really excited, just about the potential of this current group, but then also the future of the wide receiver position, because those are two guys that have come in here and they have really have caught everyone's eye. They make plays, they're fast, they can run, they're very versatile. Bailey Stockton is another. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention him. He had an injury early on leading into camp, but he's back now with us and working his way back in, and he's made some plays. But there's no doubt in my mind that, in the future, those are going to be names that the Tech community hears early and often.
Buster talked about kind of not being married to having this guy's my X, this guy's my Y, this is the Z, like being willing to play, Christian and Malik together or whatever it was. You guys showed that in the spring a little bit.
Right.
Just how do you, coach position flexibility? How does that work with you?
Well, as a coach, I think you always have to move from the position that the best players are going to play. It has nothing to do with, if you got an X and a Z, and whoever the third best player is, if he's the person that was in the slot, well, if one of those guys goes down, then he needs to have the ability to be able to go out wide. And that's what we're always trying to do. And Coach Faulkner and I are always in those discussions about, when we're in various personnel groupings, not what position are they playing in, but who are our best guys? And that's what camp has been about. That's what spring was about. That's what summer was about. Obviously you want to identify who's in your room, who can do what, and then who are our best guys, so that no matter the personnel, we always have the best guys out there. Now, the other part of that is it goes back to when we've got great depth like we do, we feel like we have guys that can roll. And but we do have a lot of versatile players in the room, guys that can play both inside and outside. And I tell them this: it creates value for you as a player. When you can play your position, not only your position, but every position in the offense, it helps you, all right? It creates value for yourself, because as a coaching staff, we know that wherever position that you're in, we can trust you to be able to execute your assignment.
With all the different names in the room, one name that you don't hear that much about, but seems to be catches the ball all the time is Abdul Janneh.
Yeah.
Yeah, what can you tell us about him?
Well, very proud, really, of Abdul Janneh. To be quite honest with you, he didn't have the greatest summer, and he and I had a heart to talk, and I had a heart to heart, and I sat down and talked with him and was very, very honest. And to his credit, once camp started, I mean, he flipped a switch. And he has been one of those guys. Yeah, he's another one. I'd be remiss if we didn't talk about him. I mean, he has been consistent, probably one of the most consistent players in the room the entire camp, making plays, just attitude, effort. He's a kid that it's hard not to like. But on top of that, he's been making plays. So he's another one that I'm really, really excited about. Obviously this has given him an opportunity at a different level to display that he belongs here. And so far in camp, he's proven that.
Colin?
One of the guys that we haven't necessarily seen much of in the last 3 seasons is Avery Boyd, because he's battled with injuries. What have you seen out of him since you got here and throughout this summer?
Well, I tell you, Avery is a very, very talented player. He is a unique blend of size and speed. He's probably one of the fastest guys, I think, on our team, and definitely, I know for sure, one of the strongest. So keep your eye out for him. Coach Faulkner and I talk all the time. He's sort of a Swiss Army knife. I think he's a guy that will be able to help us in a myriad of areas. So he has had a great attitude, and I think to give him credit, even since I've been here, I think his maturity level has even taken another step, and I think he is sort of kind of trying to step into his own now, and I think he recognizes what his abilities are, and I'm really starting to see a growth and hunger in him to be a guy that's going to be a part of this offense.
I guess when you look back to when you first got here and saw what you had in the room and then you got the bad news about Leo, I guess you have to have a smile on your face now as to where you are now with all the personnel you have.
No question. You're exactly right. First and foremost, that was when that happened to Leo. That wasn't not only a big blow for him, but for me, just as a coach, because he was having a great spring and he is so talented. And as I said before, his story hasn't been written. Leo's going to come back and we think he's going to go on to have an extraordinary career. But with that said, hey, ball still has to be played, and the guys, between the mix of guys that we've had here and the addition of Don Blaylock and Chase Lane and Christian Leary and the guys that are here now, Abdul, we talked about him, and then obviously we've got Malik, and then there's DJ Moore in there also, and then we've got the young freshmen, Eric Singleton and Zion Taylor and Bailey Stockton, and so we have some depth now. There's not a lot of experience in that room in terms of, guys that have come in as being returning starters. But there's no question the talent, the effort, the drive, the want to learn and be where they're supposed to be and be good players is all there. And when you have a mixture of that, good things could happen. But we got to keep working. Man, we've got to go out and do it, potential is just potential until it's actualized into results. And so that's what we're preaching. I'm excited, but we've got to go out and do it first.
Chad?
I know you've spoken to this before, but this fall, have you allowed yourself to step back and say, here I am, a kid from Morehouse, coaching at Georgia Tech now?
Yeah, man, it's really truly a blessing. As a coach, you just try to show up every day and do the best that you can. And you hope and you pray for these type of opportunities to come, and I'm just very blessed and very thankful. I've tried to work really hard to get to where I am, but I'm also realized that, look, anybody else could be here as well. And so more than anything, I'm grateful, very grateful to Coach for giving me this opportunity. And every day when I walk in the building, I'm just trying to work my hardest to do a good job.
Colin? And Colin will wrap up with you.
With so much potential in your wide receivers room, who has stepped up to be the leaders of that room?
Right. Well, I think it's really a cast of characters because, again, I mean, every day, daily, it seems like, hey, there's a new guy that's making a play or making a wild catch. Obviously, Malik Rutherford has continued to be a consistent weapon for us, had a tremendous spring. He's continued that's continued through the summer and even in the fall camp. You know what I mean? Christian Leary is another guy that continues to make explosive plays. We're really excited about the opportunity, that's going to be presented for him. And those are two guys that we feel are really two sides of the same coin, in terms of their explosiveness. Of the young guys, obviously Eric Singleton has really stepped up and caught everybody's eye. He ran over 23 miles an hour in practice one day. He catches everything. Very mature kid, very calm, always level-headed, and those are not always attributes you see in freshmen. And and he's certainly been a bright spot. But again, all those guys. Abdul has been another one. It's been a big play threat. Dom comes in with his experience and savviness. Very good route runner, catches everything. Chase Lane's another guy who's got speed. Can make plays on the perimeter. DJ Moore is another guy that we think is going to be a steady hand in there for us. So, like I said, the entire group. Really gives me hope that we've got a chance to go out and be productive on offense. But again, we've got to go out and do it.
Kelly, if you want to wrap this up.
Obviously, you guys have, a quarterback battle going on as well, and chemistry is something you talk about, developing. Is it, I guess, how do you look at that as a coach when you have not necessarily like a true pecking order of receivers, and then the quarterback situation is also in flux, developing that?
Bill, to be honest with you, look, we throw and catch. We do routes on there. The guys get together individually on their own. It's really a good thing because at the end of the day, we've got 3 capable quarterbacks, and we have a multitude of capable receivers. So I think within that room, that naturally creates pressure. And then obviously within the receiver room, it naturally creates pressure. So if anything, it keeps everybody on their A game. They all respect each other's talent. And if anything, I think it gives them a hunger to work even more because they see what is the potential of what those connections can be. So, we're in a great situation. I tell the receivers, you guys, we're blessed to be in a place where you got, 3 guys, that can go out and do it and quite frankly have done it. At different points in times in their career. So receiver-wise, I tell them, listen, that room is going to be fine. We've got to make sure that we uphold our end in terms of catching the ball and knowing our assignments and, playing the game with the right attitude and effort.
Okay. Coach Crawford, thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thanks. Thanks.
I'm going to get started with Christian Leary. If you could, go ahead and introduce yourself and the outlet that you represent with Christian being there. So, Kelly, if you want to get started.
I'm Kelly Quinlan. I cover Georgia Tech for Jackets Online, Rivals Network. Just curious, how your adjustment's been to Georgia Tech and the offense, and kind of how you feel like you've grown over the last, whatever it's been, 8 months here.
It's been real fun adjusting. Just being back in the city, me being from Orlando, it's been fun to be back in that city feel vibe. Being in T-Town for 2 years, it was a little different for me, but the process has been good so far. I love every step of it. Just being able to bond with new players and having the same goal to have fun this year has been fun.
Rod McKenzie with GoJackets.com on the 247 network. When you look around that receiver room, do you think, boy, we really have some opportunities to put a lot of pressure on secondaries with the speed and talent we have?
Yes, sir, definitely. We got multiple guys who can stretch the field, and just knowing there's a guy to the left and right of me who can run just as fast is a good thing. Knowing going into the season, just multiple weapons across the field.
Chad.
Yeah, Christian, I guess just what's the acclimation been like to the program, to Coach Key, to your teammates? What's it been like becoming a Yellow Jacket?
I have no doubt in my mind I made the wrong decision. I love it here. I love Coach Key. I love the program, everything he's fighting for and pushing for. Adjustment's been fun. All the players make me feel welcome, like family, as soon as I got here. So process still, we still on the journey, but I've been loving it so far.
Rod?
Yeah, talking about that, how did you get in touch with Georgia Tech, or did they get in touch with you? How did that whole process start out?
Coach Crawford was recruiting me pretty heavily around when I got in the portal, and so when you took the job at Georgia Tech, I just showed some interest, and when I took the visit, it sealed the deal for me.
Anything else for Christian? Kelly and then Colin.
What's kind of the competition been like? I know they played you and Malik together in the spring, and obviously that could be part of it. But just what's that competition like between the two of you?
You know, we feed off each other. Seeing him do big plays make me do big plays, and I feel like it's vice versa. So just competing every day, or just, you know, being out on the field, seeing what he does, and I know we're two different players, but it's fun to just, you know, just compete every day, even though we're on the same side of the ball.
Colin Beasley, Atlanta Journal-Constitution. As you've gone through practices and competing against the defensive backs at Georgia Tech, what have you seen out of the defense and those guys?
I feel like we got some good players. Our DBs love to fly around. You know, as DBs, they talk, so that's always fun. But every day, it's some action going on, competition every day. We fight, not actually fight, but, you know, we compete with the DBs. So it's real fun to know you got somebody across from you that's going to help you get better, too.
Call another one.
Any particularly good trash talkers?
I think our best trash talker, personally, just because he's a Florida guy, Maury Harvey.
Kelly.
Yeah, I was just curious about just kind of special teams, and you've been mentioned as a guy that could do some return stuff. Is that something that you're interested in, and kind of how do you feel like you fit into that?
I definitely think I could bring something to the special teams as far as returning and stuff. I'm working on it every day, making sure I'm not missing any catches, just trying to get better. Repetition is the best, you know, form of practice to me, so just getting better at it every day has been fun.
Anything else? Rob, if you want to wrap us up.
You're coming down the stretch now of camp. You're looking forward to breaking camp and getting into game week and getting close to getting out there on the field for that first game?
Yes, sir. It'll be fun, Mercedes-Benz this year.
All right. Christian, thanks, buddy.
Yes, sir.
Ready to rock and roll? All right. We'll go ahead and get started with Malik Rutherford. Questions from Malik? Rob? Kelly? Whichever. Didn't matter. Let's know which one raised the hand first.
We talked to Christian about, with all the speed you have stretching the field, you're going to be able to put a lot of, you know, pressure on secondaries. How has that worked against the guys you go against every day?
I mean, the defense, they hate it. I'm not gonna lie, yeah, they hate it like every day. So KJ, you know, nickel. Me and him, we go at it every day. But like, let me see how I could put it. Basically, he gets mad because he know every time, like, say if I go out, he know he got to go against Leary. Then this guy Bailey Stockton. So, you know, all us are fast guys, and he do a lot of chasing. So he hates it. But, yeah, but we competing, so we just making him better. So, yeah, it's all around the ball. I mean, you got Avery Boyd, a lot of speed, Chase Lane, DJ, guys like that. So, yeah, we just working every day competing.
Kelly.
It seems like you're getting a little bigger. I know that's always been kind of the running joke, but just kind of how much weight have you put on and kind of what have you done with your body in the offseason?
If I'm not mistaken, I've added 12 pounds this offseason from 150 to 162. So, yeah.
How'd you do it?
Eating, literally eating. Eating way more than I used to.
What are you eating?
Everything, I ain't gonna lie. Everything. I just try to eat as much as I can. Oh, and I drink a lot of water too. That's another thing. That water weight help you a lot too.
Gotcha. I saw Inky Johnson talk to you guys this week. What was that like? What was the lesson you learned from him?
He gave man, that was a great talk, man. There's so much things he said that just like got to me. It's like some of the stuff I couldn't even remember. That's how I was like, I'm in the moment. I'm just like, man, I don't know how he do it with all these quotes and stuff. But it was great seeing him. I think that was my second time seeing him, and he never disappoints. He's great. He's great. He's great at what he does. So yeah.
With a couple of new faces in the wide receiver room this year, what have you seen out of the new guys?
Man. I know I got, like Leary said, I know I got some guys around me who could do the same thing I could do, stretch the field, make plays, make guys miss on the perimeter. I mean, that's what Coach Faulkner wants, and we're going to give it to him. Y'all going to see it first game. We ready.
Now, you're from South Florida, so I imagine this camp hasn't been quite as bad for you. Does it remind you a little bit more of home being out there in that heat?
No, I think this worse than Miami. I ain't gonna lie. I think it's worse than Miami. This is one of the hottest camps I've participated in all 3 of my camps. But I feel like it's because we're outside way more now. But I feel like it's just preparing us for the season, for those 12 o'clock games, 1 o'clock games, 3:30 games. So, yeah, it's just making us better.
Can you tell us a little bit about what the meetings are like with Coach Crawford? I know he really pushes competition and makes you aware that you have to compete every day.
Yeah. Coach Crawford, man, he chew us out every chance he get. I'm not going to lie. Like, he'll show you good plays, but he going to make sure he get the bad plays. But at the end of the day, he just making us better. Like, you know, he tried not to show the good plays because, of course, that's what he expects out of us. So, like, the things we do that are wrong, he just need us to, like, basically just correct it. And he say this one thing he always says, you should never make the same mistake twice. And that's what I feel like all the receivers in the room, that's what we try to be consistent. That's another thing. Being consistent, that's a big thing for him because being consistent, it shows that he can trust you on the field in the game. So, yeah.
Anything else? Back to you, Colin.
No pressure with Avery in the room, but what have you seen out of him throughout the off season, throughout this summer?
Avery, from last year to this year, Avery, he got way better. I feel like he got way smarter. And, man, Avery gonna make some plays this year. Avery gonna make some plays this year for sure. I'm telling y'all. I see it now. He a big guy who can stretch the field. He can play a little bit of tight end. So, yeah, I'm happy for you, Avery. I'm ready to see you ball this year, man.
Kelly.
Just looking at the offense, obviously you have the 3 quarterbacks with all of starting experience, and just how is the chemistry piece of that work? I know everyone throws the ball differently. Everyone even has a different motion of the 3 guys, but just kind of what's it been like working with each of them?
I mean, I have a different relationship with all 3 guys. I talk to all 3 guys on a daily basis. I feel like all 3 guys can actually start on the team, but, you know, at the end of the day, that's coach's decision. And as far as the throwing motion goes, it really doesn't matter to me. As long as I can see the ball, I'm going to catch it.
Anything else for Malik? All right. Thanks, Lee. Appreciate you.
Thank y'all.
We'll go ahead and rock and roll with Avery Boyd. Kelly, if you want to go start.
All right, Malik kind of let the cat out of the bag, but you got a little bit of tight end work. Just kind of, is it just to maybe find a different way to get you on the field? Is it like a stretch Y, or is there anything in particular that they have planned there for you?
I think it's just, Buster just wants the best guys on the field at all times. He doesn't have a set, you have to play one position. He's going to put anybody anywhere and just rock and roll.
Right.
On that same subject, I imagine if you're out there and you see, like Malik and Leary and maybe Moore or somebody like that out there, they're going to be concentrating on those guys and maybe not knowing much about you. You little one-on-one coverage is going to light your eyes up.
I'm going to get them. Open every time. But no, Malik and Leary, they're great guys. So if they focus on them, I'm going to score. And if they worry about me and my matchup, they're going to score. Be throwing the ball around to everybody.
Chad?
Hey, Chad from the AJC. What excites you about Coach Faulkner and Coach Winky's offense?
They love throwing the ball. They love explosive plays and throwing the ball. And being a wide out, you got to love that.
Colin?
For you, possibly learning a bit of a new position in tight end a little bit. You haven't been playing football for that long, so what's it like to go and be learning a new position, a new place to line up?
Well, thank God they haven't just thrown me in the fire yet. I've been getting little reps here and there and a lot of walkthroughs. I've been in a lot of walkthroughs, but the tight ends have really helped me out with everything from the stance. Because my first stance, time I got in the stance, horrible. It was bad. But, they've been taking this slow and showing me the ropes of everything. And it's like wide out, just closer.
You lost one member of your room when Jamal moved to running back. What are you seeing from him over there? And I guess that's another weapon out there, too.
Oh, my God. Jamal is so explosive. Oh, when he get that rock in his hand, they better watch out. He's small, so like they might not see him behind the O-line, but they gonna see him when he busts through that hole. He's a big, explosive back for us. We love it, and he can still go out wide too. So he's a dual threat.
You know, you're one of those guys, you've had some injuries kind of derail early part of your career and stuff. What made you kind of want to stick with it? And a lot of guys sometimes give up or transfer or whatever. What made you decide to stick with it here and now maybe have this opportunity to contribute?
Well, I was never raised to give up on anything, no matter what adversity you go through. I really, really love Coach Key. You know, he's been with me through it all since I've been here. I really love Georgia Tech, and I ain't graduated yet, so I ain't leaving until I graduate.
Colin?
What's this off season been like for you? What's the summer been like?
Hot. It's been a lot. You know, we have a new strength and conditioning staff, which they have different ways of doing stuff. So we've been doing a lot of running in that sun, and it ain't like Florida. It's dry heat. It ain't no breeze from the ocean and none of that. So, but we've been getting a lot of good work in though.
Kelly?
Just what's the wide receiver room like now? There's a lot of transition, a lot of new faces, both young and older guys. Just kind of what's the vibe like in the room this year?
We all have a real close brotherhood. Like we go, Coach Crawford, he has us over to his house once a month. We do some, you know, bonding, playing the game, cooking out. But we compete every day. Like if I mess up, when I come back to the sideline, they just looking at me like, yeah, we know you messed up. So we compete every day and everything. Even when we come back to the locker room, we get extra catches. If you drop catches, you got low downs. So even on and off the field, we constantly competing with each other, making each other better.
Colin? Back to Rod.
Last couple of years, you've had big performances in the spring game. What's it going to be like when you have a performance like that in the regular season?
Same thing, great. I'm ready, waiting on my chance, you know what I'm saying? We got good guys everywhere. So I'm waiting to show everybody what I can do. The spring game is just a little piece of what you're going to see in the season.
Rod?
You talked a little bit about doing a lot of running conditioning in the hot weather, and the coaches have talked about they want to put big emphasis on that fourth quarter. I imagine all the work you put in is good. When that fourth quarter comes around, it's going to be a lot easier for you guys.
Yeah, our coaches are smart with what they do, so they intentionally make practices harder than what the game's going to be. So when we get in the game, the fourth quarter going to feel like the first quarter.
I saw you got some puppies a couple weeks ago. What are the first weeks of puppy ownership been like for you?
Oh my gosh, let me tell you. So I got 2 South African Mastiffs. They'll be 7 months on the 25th. The older, well, I don't know which one's older. They both brothers. So I have a fawn one. He's probably about 95 pounds. And then the other one, the red one, he's probably about 85 pounds. And it's like every day I come home from camp, they picked a different room to destroy. So it's been something. But I wouldn't trade it for the world. You know, I love my dogs.
Anything else for Avery? Avery, thanks, buddy.
No problem.
Appreciate it.
No problem.